already know. Let me introduce you to your host of the hour. Hit me, Mike and Mike. Yeah, it's the man hour. Got the hottest plays, all the breaking news. Every rumor, every trade, every breaking bruise. Tighten knuckle screws, yeah, it's going down. Have you saying what the fuck and never watered down? It's going down, I'll be rolling up. And if you buy it or you sell it, then you made the cut. Watch me flip it back, I can double up. I got sriracha for that ass, I'ma burn it up. Gotta check the rules and know that if you fair foul. Ref blow the whistle, coach throw the towel. We can do this on the field or outside the line. It's the man hour though, now we going live.
And what is up, everybody? Michael Buck got you here with the Mike and Mike Man Hour, live, raw, and uncut sports talk coming at you on the Friday edition of the Mike and Mike Man Hour. And as always, for the last couple weeks here, I got my man, Coach Tip. Tip, what is going on today, brother?
What's up? What's up? How's it going over that way?
Man, it is a beautiful day here in southern Indiana. I know you know it is because, man, it's like it is 80 degrees outside. It was a little crispy in the morning. Man, this is perfect weather.
Riding around with the top down, bro. Riding around with the top down.
Exactly. I don't know what you guys do in life, but this is by far my most favorite season ever. Tim, thank you for the like, my man. As you guys know, I am back in studio right now. I've got my 5 monitors hooked up. I got behind the microphone, and I feel at home. Couldn't be much more excited. So, Tip,
I am at home, and this is my studio.
This is your first time. Jim, thank you for the like as well. Man, we got likes rolling in today, guys. Thank you very much for all the love, guys. Definitely appreciate it. Head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mike and Mike Man Hour. Hit that subscribe button and get entered to win that $100 Amazon gift card. We are giving away next week. We have hit that threshold of what we are trying to get, the 1,500 subscriber mark, and we are there, and we're giving away $100 to one lucky fan. So next week, guys, there's still time to get entered into that. Go over to our Facebook page, like it, and share this live feed. Man, Tiffany, thank you for the like as well. Definitely a bunch of likes coming in. So, Tip, I told you last night that the Chicago Bears were going to win the game. I believe it was 20-17 was my final score, and the final score was 20-19, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you were pretty close.
Do you want to redeem yourself of saying that? Because I kind of feel like you were crowning the Buccaneers as the champions, and before they've even played a real game, and quite frankly, I feel disrespected. Too. Because I told you the Buccaneers, they're going to go 10-6. They're going to get their 10. They're going to get their 10 wins. Yada yada yada. But I'm not going to reflect too much on this game. I am going to look the antics of Tom Brady after he get popped in the mouth 3 or 4 times. By who? Like I said, Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's going to pop him in the mouth 3 or 4 times, and Brady's going to shut down. And that's exactly what he did. So Tom Brady reminded me of a high school kid, right? Or kind of like a high school coach, like yelling at their kids, yada yada, right? And in New England, you can do that. You can, yell at people and they will respond, right? Because they are, better lack of the terms, they're from the rough part of town, right? And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're from the rich neighborhood. People have been patting them on their backs all year long, or for their whole life. Oh, it's okay. It's okay that you got a D in math. We'll figure it out. And when you yell at those kids, they break down and they don't respond. Tom Brady was yelling at rich kids on the sideline for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night, and I don't think they're going to respond coming up this next game that they have. I believe they play the Packers next, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100%. I don't have their schedule in.
I'll look that up. I'll look it up.
But nonetheless, this might be the beginning of the end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys. That we know it, because the Chicago Bears are complete trash, right? And then you go and beat a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and people say, "Oh, Super Bowl aspirations." This is the beginning of the end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chicago Bears will still miss the playoffs because the Wizards are going to fall off that wagon at some point in time. So, Tip, I'm going to give you some time to redeem yourself by picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game, and tell me why I should still have faith in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after last night's game.
Well, man, it's a lot to cover here. There's a lot of meat on that bone, brother. And yes, next game is the Packers. I got to be honest with you. Now, listen, as a coach, you being a coach, you understand what it means to have to tangle with referees, okay? And you understand what it means when a referee makes a bad call, how it can affect a game, how it can change the momentum of a game, and really just put you behind the 8 ball if you're, as Tampa Bay was, to me, the better team, and should have won. And still almost won, even after they played a really crappy game, to be honest with you. And I never like to make excuses and put it in the referee's hands and say, this is why they lost or this is why we lost, because ultimately there are things we could have done to not have us in that position. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly what you're saying.
So that being said, Tampa Bay had the momentum at the beginning of the game. You yourself even hit me up last night and said you were concerned after that first quarter. The throw and catch to Rojo, where he rolled into the end zone, was absolutely a catch and a touchdown. How they went to instant replay and how they said that wasn't a catch and that wasn't and then didn't even deem it a touchdown after they did say it was a catch, after they did rule it a catch. I think it just really dampened the spirits of Tampa Bay at that moment. That's just my take.
Right there. I don't want to cut your thought completely off, but the rules state that if the pass is ruled incomplete and then it is ruled a catch, it is ruled down where they caught the ball, not where they ended up. It doesn't matter
what the rule is. The rule is stupid, and it costed Tampa Bay a touchdown.
So
and
it is only stupid because it cost Tampa Bay Buccaneers a touchdown.
It may have costed them not only a touchdown, it could have costed them momentum in the game, which it did cost them that.
You want to know what's stupid? The Dez Bryant still caught it. That changed the whole momentum of the Dallas Cowboys franchise for the next 15 years. Dez still caught it.
Okay, but he did catch that ball. That
they called it
was
incomplete.
Stupid. I don't care what they called it. That's a catch. That is a stinking catch. I don't care what they called that.
Did they win
I don't care. That's a catch. That's a catch. I'm not even a Dallas fan.
That catch literally changed the Dallas Cowboys franchise for 15 years. They have not won a playoff game since then. Okay, continue your thought. My bad. I just had to pipe in there like a little bit too.
I mean, track now. You just cut me right off, and I'm off track now, and I don't even know where I'm at now. So, but that Dez Bryant, I don't care what anybody says, that was a catch. I'm not even a Dallas fan, and I know that was a catch. Okay, that was a catch by Rojo last night. He rode into the end zone untouched. Whoever made that rule should not be on the board for rulemaking any longer. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. That was a catch. So you take that probably swung the momentum some, because they went to a close-up of Rojo on the sidelines, and you could see the disappointment in his face. It was like, wow, I can't believe, because there's no way you don't rule that a catch and a touchdown. So that started the deal off. Then you had a couple of calls in there that were roughing the passer, that were not even close to roughing the passer. And the second one, when Barrett, towards the end of the game, I believe it was third down, he sacked Foles. There was nothing wrong with the hit. And they called him for unnecessary roughness, and they basically gave Foles in Chicago a free first down and put them even closer to the end zone. The other call was when they called a pass interference coming down the sideline earlier, where the Bears had come down and scored before the play I just spoke about. They called pass interference. First of all, he turned around and looked at the ball. Both guys were getting handsy. That's football, okay? The second part of that is the ball was 5+ yards away from the receiver to his left in towards the field, and he's going out of bounds. The ball wasn't even catchable, and they called pass interference. And the defender was looking around for the ball, and they both had their hands on each other. So I don't see how you can call that. And so there were just several bad calls in that game, and I don't know that had anything to do with Tampa Bay's loss. They played let's face it, man, Chicago played a really good game.
Right.
They really did play a good game against. You got to give them their props. It wasn't all Tampa Bay just not playing well. Chicago played really well, and Foles threw the ball really well. He kind of surprised. He didn't surprise me, but I don't look at him to stay upright very long. I just don't. I think he's going to be injured soon. I hate to say that, but that's just what he is. He's fragile like that. Okay. I hope he stays intact, but who knows with Nick Foles. And I just think that with the calls and with the defensive scheme, you don't have he wasn't hitting Miller at all last night. Miller didn't even. I don't even think he threw to Miller. He threw a lot to Brady. Brady did. You had Mike Evans, who I think is a huge disappointment because to me he should have had 10 catches at least for 100 yards. I mean he just and probably 2 touchdowns. That should have been his line right there. He's that good of a receiver, and for him to come out of there with the low stats that he had for the game it's disappointing. And so Gronk didn't have a bad game for who he is. Rojo played great. And another thing, and I see this was on Tampa Bay. I'll give you this one right here. At the end of the game, Tampa Bay got the ball back with a little over 2 minutes left. Instead of running the ball, because you've got a running back that's got over 100 yards for the game, instead of running the ball and milking the clock, running the clock out, they throw passes, stop the clock. The Bears get the ball back, and they go down, kick the field goal, win the game. I didn't understand that from the point of view, maybe an offensive coordinator doesn't know any better, gets lost, caught up in the moment. But for Brady, 20 years, 6 world titles, been to 9 championship games, and you're going to say that after all that, you don't know that you need to run the ball and milk the clock and run it out? That was on Tampa Bay. They put themselves in that position, and I just think Chicago was the better team. I think if they played again later in the year, if they meet in the playoffs, I think it could be a different story. But I do still believe that Tampa Bay, and you got to think, Scotty Miller was questionable. They still haven't really gotten Fournette into the mix. Chris Godwin has been out. When they get all those weapons back and they figure it out, because they're hanging on right now. They don't have to worry about a playoff spot as of right now. They're still in the driver's seat. They still got a record enough to get a playoff spot. They're okay right now. So you give them a couple games to figure this out, maybe 2 or 3 games, and they have all their pieces together. And then the big boy on defense got hurt last night late in the game. That hurt them. So it was just a combination of a lot of different things that I don't think you'll see from Tampa Bay later in the year. I believe they're going to have a much smoother ride later in the year, and I think they're going to find their groove, and they're going to get it together, and they're going to do some real damage. And I think they'll surprise a lot of people. And I'm not going to shy away from them. I'm still taking them in Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Now I'm going to go with Kansas City in the Super Bowl, but I'd like to see Tampa Bay do that, win if that were to happen. So that's kind of my take on the game. And again, I'll reiterate, don't take anything from the Bears. They played a great game. They had a great game plan. They stuck with it. They didn't run the ball particularly well, but man, did Foles throw that ball in Montgomery, got out in the flat. He caught a lot of balls, and they looked really sharp. I thought Chicago looked good, and they're probably going to end up being in Benz's top 10 this upcoming week.
Yeah, we will talk about that on Tuesday, but I'm not going to take away anything from the Chicago Bears either. They had to play a perfect game, much like I told you to do, to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and basically just to keep their offense off the field. And you can say that the refs cost the game. You can say that a pass interference did this or did that, yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, you had the quote-unquote the GOAT in a game-winning drive situation. It is 3rd and 5, and he throws the ball 20 yards down the field. What was he thinking? That's
what I was talking about.
And then he had a 4th and 5, throws the ball 25 yards down the field, and then he's trying to think, oh, I thought I had another down. Get out of here! You are the GOAT. You've been playing for, or sorry, let me recreate that. Air quote GOAT. Overrated GOAT. How about that? Tom Brady, you are the overrated GOAT. You had an opportunity to drive down, beat the Chicago Bears in Soldier Field, putting the world on cloud nine because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the 3-1 Chicago Bears. But the fact is that you shit the bed, and Tom Brady, you are overrated. You are a system quarterback. My man Mike LeBlanc would agree with me because we both said that Tom Brady is a system quarterback, and it's starting to show that Tom Brady is a system quarterback. He needs that coaching staff in his ear. Tell him, hey, it's a 4-down territory. You can check that down. You don't need to push the ball 20 yards downfield. Now, with that being said, the Bucs coaching staff is absolutely horrendous. You can say what you want about Bruce Arians, this what do they call him? This quarterback guru or whatever the hell you want to call him.
He's done pretty
Bruce
well over the
Arians
years
is the
for himself.
most overrated coach I've ever seen in my life. What has he really done? Yes, he got Jameis Winston to throw for 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, right? He also threw 30 interceptions.
He also took Arizona to the Super Bowl, and with the exception of a brilliant throw by Roethlisberger, Big Ben, and Arizona didn't have near the talent that Tampa Bay has. And so
how long ago was that?
That was going to be my next question to you. Was Tom being a company man and doing what he was told to do, and now they'll hash it out behind the scenes and get it straight that, okay, I need control over the ball when I'm out there on the field. I'll call the plays in certain situations. Or what I have to believe that it was more that than it was Brady just forgetting the situation and saying, okay, no, I think this will work, blah, blah. I don't know that it was that. I think I would be willing to bet he was being a company man and he was told to run those plays, and that's what he did, because I can't see Belichick running those plays, and I don't ever remember Tom too much throwing those,
because
balls
Tom's
like that
system
when he was
quarterback,
at
what it
New
comes
England.
down to.
Well, whatever he is, he's a world champion 6 times, been in 9 of them. Not many can say that in the NFL. So you can't.
Right.
He's done something right. He has done something right.
With that being said, Tom Brady was brought into Tampa Bay to make them a Super Bowl caliber team. It is not to do what the coaches tell you to do. You should know. You are the freaking GOAT. You've been playing the game for 20 plus years, right? You should know the situation. You know it's third and 5. We got a minute and a half left in the game. You know exactly what to do. Tom Brady just shit the bed. Let's just face it. People were
They were uncanny mistakes on his part. That's for sure.
People were laughing at me when I said Tom Brady has met that cliff last week, and then of course he goes and throws that for 5 touchdowns. Yada yada yada. But
his arm still looked strong last night, though. He was zipping the ball.
I don't care about a strong arm. What goes first in the NFL? It is your mind. It is your mental preparation. Yeah. And his mental preparation, his mind is starting to lax, and we see it. He has multiple pick sixes.
He even forgot he was on 4th down.
Yeah, so he was on 4th down, multiple pick sixes, and the fact that he is yelling at his center for letting Khalil Mack hit him when Khalil Mack came off the end, which was not his center's fault; it was the left guard's fault. But we'll digress on that because I will let that be. Any closing thoughts before we take a quick little break?
I just don't think you should count Tampa Bay out. I believe when they get all their weapons back, and I believe that they'll hit their stride. And you got to think, Tom's got, if they don't do it this year, they have another year left. So they've got the team, they've got the players. They just have to put it together, and that takes time. There was no preseason for the most part, no practices. So they'll get it together. They're all good football players, and they're studs for a reason. And I just wouldn't count them out yet.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, that they got time to correct things for next season. And to be honest, I think if Tom Brady doesn't make it to the Super Bowl this year, and if he performs like the way he did last night, he is done. He is going to hang him up. He doesn't want to tarnish his legacy or whatever, because I think the competitiveness to prove people wrong has starting to leave Tom Brady like a little bit, because he's done it for so long, right? So
It could.
It just mean at some point, many people fail to understand that when you play professional football, it is not your body that goes. It is your mind and the mental preparation that goes first, and then your body starts to fail afterwards. So, guys, we are going to take a quick little break. Tip, that was a good little 20-minute discussion about how bad the Bucs are going to suck this year for the rest of the season. They're going to miss the playoffs. But, guys, we're going to take a quick little break. On the other side of the break, we're going to break down Week 5 of the NFL. Do we even have a Week 5 anymore? Right. Stuff is always moving around. Guys, we'll be right back. Mike and Mike Man Hour, manhour.com. Head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We'll be right back. Woo! And welcome back to the Man Hour, guys. Michael Buckeyser here with live, raw, and uncut sports talk on the one and only Mike and Mike Man Hour. Starting Monday night, guys, 10 p.m. East Coast time, we will have the Man Hour After Dark with myself and my man Brandon Coons from Triple Shot Sports. We're giving you the dark side of sports and the ugly truth of like how sports really work, with a lot of interviews with some ex-athletes, some up and coming athletes going to major colleges and that kind of thing. So if you guys are into a interview style and just some real raw after dark talk, join the Man Hour After Dark right here on youtube.com/Mike and Mike Man Hour. And it is 10 p.m. East Coast time, Monday through Thursday is when that is on. Now, Tip, it is week 5 of the NFL season. Welcome back to the show. And and like, of course, you know, week 5 has kind of been what COVID, what the 2020 year has been for many people, shuffling stuff around, understanding what is really going on. And we've already had the New England-Denver game moved to Monday night, and then we had the Tennessee-Buffalo game moved to Tuesday night. So, fun fact here, the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills were supposed to play Thursday night of week 6, and that has already been moved back to Sunday. So as far as fantasy football goes, definitely make sure you are on top of the actual real life stuff that is happening. You know, the games getting shuffled around, who is playing who, and think about this: the Buffalo Bills will have only like 3 or 4 days to get healthy and get prepared for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, like, if Josh Allen gets a banged up elbow or a shoulder, he could possibly miss the upcoming game. So keep that in the back of your mind going through fantasy-wise. But let's go ahead and pick our winners for the Week 5 Sunday games, and then we'll break down the rest of the games come next week, Tip. So the first game that we're going to break down here is the Carolina Panthers. They traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. This is a 1 o'clock kickoff game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Who do you got winning this game and why?
I don't even know how to pick a game like this, to be honest with you. It probably will end up turning out to be the best game of the weekend. Might end up being a shootout. Who knows? There's very little defense on either side of the ball. Mike Davis has really been running good for Carolina. Gurley's not doing. You know, he's having a decent season thus far. Not like the old Gurley for a couple years, but he's serviceable. And then you got Matt Ryan, who personally I think he's overranked and overrated, but he's still a good quarterback. And then you've got Bridgewater, and Bridgewater kind of surprised some people last week by having such a great game. Didn't surprise me. You know, he's a Louisville boy, and he's from the hometown, and he showed a lot. You know, I got to see a lot of him here that a lot of other people didn't get to see. So I knew he was going to be a good quarterback. You know, he's kind of getting through his injury. I think Carolina's still trying to find themselves. They're coming off a big win. Atlanta's coming off of, I think it's 2 losses in a row. And so I really don't know how to pick this game, but I'm going to take Carolina I'm going to go ahead and say the Panthers because I think that Bridgewater is finding his stride. I think that Carolina, Mike Davis is going to run the ball, and Atlanta can't stop the run. Heck, they can't stop the pass. They're decimated with injuries, just decimated, you know. And I think Carolina can take advantage of that. Carolina's got a pretty good nucleus, and I think with Carolina, you don't have to lean on Bridgewater to win you the game. He's got weapons. They seem to play more cohesive as a team, or they have the last couple of games. And Atlanta seems to rely on Matt Ryan a lot. And I think Carolina, if they watched any footage, if you see that you can flush Matt Ryan out of the pocket and make him throw on the run, I think you can really do some damage to Atlanta. And I wouldn't be surprised if the defensive coordinator has any smarts about him at all. He'll look at that footage and say, okay, this is how we're going to beat Atlanta. You know, we're gonna put a lot of pressure on Matt. You know, his offensive line can't hold us. We're gonna put him on the run, and we're gonna make him throw. And we're gonna make sure that our secondary keeps up with the receivers, and we're gonna make him throw. And I don't know that Gurley can win a game for Atlanta. I don't think he can. So all that being said, I'm gonna go with Carolina, and I'll say 24-17 Carolina.
So the only reason why the Atlanta Falcons are 0-4 in this season is because they have yet to put a complete game together. They played well for three quarters,
yep.
and like then they have fizzled out toward the fourth quarter, much what like Brandon Coombs does over there in Triple Shot Sports. Firing shots at me in the chat, I fire shots at you here on live Raw and Uncut Sports Talk, Mr. Brandon Coombs. But with that being said, Carolina is not a team right now that can score a lot of points quickly, like the Cowboys or like the Bears. The fact is that the Carolina Panthers, they are treading water right now, and they are a sinking ship. You know, they are going to lose this week to the Atlanta Falcons because the Falcons will not have to put a complete game together to beat the Carolina Panthers because they're without their best running back. You know, their lineman is starting to go down, and yes, Teddy Bridgewater is performing well, and he is kind of clicking on some aspects. But when you realize that the running game is not there, and you can solely contain the run with your front seven, and then you can play zone over the top or man with a safety like over the top, the Atlanta Falcons are going to be just fine. And like in this game, I'm putting ATL down for my picks. And if you guys haven't noticed, I am 1-0, so you might as well just follow the train here and just vote.
What's your score?
Falcons can score obviously, and I think that is not going to change one bit. It is going to be 35-21 is the final score. It may sound a little closer, but the game is going to be a total knockout, drag-out. Falcons win. It just like the Panthers pick up some mop-up points toward the end there. So moving on to the next one, possibly the game that if I do not get this game on TV, I am going to walk down to WLKY, CBS, right here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm going to bang on the door until they put on the Kansas City Chiefs, take on the Las Vegas Raiders at Arrowhead Stadium. Who do you got in this one?
You know, everything wants to say Kansas City. I mean, everything. Everything in me except for my gut feeling says that Kansas City is going to win this game. But I'm going to go with the Raiders. I'm going to pick the upset of the week here, man. The Raiders are up and coming. They've played well. They've lost a couple of games, but they've played well. Derek Carr has showed a lot of promise. He's turned into a good quarterback. If they can get Ruggs back and him playing real well, Waller is just he's Waller, man. He's a great tight end. He's probably one of the top 5 in the NFL. You know, they've got Renfro underneath, you know, your little slot receiver, and their defense is coming along. They've got a pretty good young secondary, and you know, a young linebackers, and that they've got that linebacker. I can't pronounce his name, Nowatzki or something to that. You know, he's coming back from injury, and I think the Raiders. I think they're primed. I have a hard time calling them Las Vegas. I want to call them Oakland because that's where I come from.
Yep.
But it's I have a hard time. I just think the Raiders are primed for a really good game against a really good team, and I look at Kansas City, and they're coming off of a rough one with the Pats, and they're 4-0, and it's very difficult to win a football game in the NFL. And to go into Las Vegas, to come out 5-0 against a pretty decent team that's up and coming, I'm going to say upset here, and I'm going to pick the Raiders, and I'm going to say let's go 35-31 in this, Raiders.
So Tip is picking the Raiders to beat the Kansas City Chiefs 35-31. Over here in the chat, Triple Shot Sports says the Chiefs will win by 3 scores, and you guys are both wrong in this aspect. The Kansas City Chiefs will win this game, but the Raiders always show up in Arrowhead and always give the Raiders always show up in like Arrowhead and always play some of their best football at Arrowhead Stadium. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the barbecue beef. I don't know if it's just the atmosphere. The
Raiders and Chiefs go back a long way, brother.
Right. But at the same time, the Raiders historically play some of their best games at Arrowhead Stadium. And with that, and with that being said, we have seen this year where the Chiefs are kind of playing up or down to their competition, and the Chiefs are going to play up to what the Raiders are going to bring to them. And with that being said, the Chiefs will not win by 3 scores, and they will not lose this game, but it will be a close game. I'm going to say 21-24. The Chiefs win, moving into 5-0 on the season. Give us our next game, Arizona versus the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. Tip, who do you got?
Well, if they play, I'm going to take Arizona. But word's not out whether they're going to play yet or not, so nobody knows. But I'd have to take Arizona in this, and I'm going to play Drake one more week in my fantasy lineups. I'm going to give him one more week. And if he doesn't do any good, I'm going to sit him. I'm going to bench him. He's been really disappointing. You keep thinking that every week he's going to have a breakout game. You know, it was against Carolina, and now it could be against the Jets. And it's like, okay, man, when are you going to show up? Hopkins does his thing. Murray does his thing. But Arizona's still young. They're quite a ways away from really competing for a championship or even a conference championship game. They're quite a ways away from that. But I like what they're doing out there. They're building they got a good nucleus of players, and they're young and they want to play football. So I like that. So I'm going to have to go. And now you've got Flacco starting for the Jets, and who knows which Flacco you're going to get there. And the Jets are decimated. You know, they just don't have a lot. They got injuries, and I know they're at home, and odds are they could be due for a win and a good game and a win. But I'm gonna go with Arizona on this, and I'll say probably 21-14, not 21-10, Arizona.
So when you speak of they don't know if they're playing this game yet or not, I mean, we are talking about the NFL. They're going to make a game happen one way or the other. If you got to push it back one day because you know that 24 hours.
Yeah, but eventually you're not going to be able to do that, man. You're going to have to do something here as far as the NFL, like what we were talking about yesterday with Combs. You're going to have to do something here. I was listening to the Dan Patrick show this morning, and he had mentioned maybe he thinks the NFL, and I kind of agreed with this, and I think you might agree with this too. We were talking about this yesterday. Maybe the NFL should just stop for like 2 weeks.
That's not going to happen.
And I know, that's what I'm saying, but maybe they should, and just get everybody on the same page. And then if you come to the point where your players get COVID, you just forfeit the game, and there's no makeup. And just let the season move on, because eventually you're going to run out of what you can do, and you're not going to be able to do anything else, and it might be out of hand by then. So the NFL hasn't made a ruling on it yet, but It's just been a messed up season.
I don't think if a player from a team gets COVID, you should forfeit the game. I mean that's kind of ridiculous. Like at the end of the day, because there's still 80 other players on the roster, but like just between practice and free agents that you can call up.
Kind of like finding a man for going out and get a steak and a beer after a game, huh?
Well,
kind of ridiculous.
If it is in your contract, you can do whatever you want. But moving back to the Arizona-New York Jets game, I like the move that the Jets decided to start Joe Flacco. Sam Darnold is their future, and they know that right now they are decimated on the offensive line. Their running game with Le'Veon Bell is not effective, and they got some young receivers. So why not bring a quarterback like in Joe Flacco that can just take some hits for the rest of the season and possibly win you some games, right? I mean, winning is not really where they're at right now, but let me bring up one thing that I saw earlier, and they said that the New York Jets should tank for Trevor Lawrence. If the Jets tank for Trevor Lawrence, or if they get Trevor Lawrence in a draft, I don't care if they tank or not, if they pick up Trevor Lawrence, they will be doomed for 10 more years. Trevor Lawrence is a complete bust in the NFL. He is reminding me more and more of Ryan Leaf. The more I watch him play, and the more I hear him in like interviews and and stuff, he is going to be a complete bust in the NFL. Sam Darnold is your future in New York. And with that being said, this is a 1 o'clock kickoff game. I just had to make sure here. Arizona is flying 4 time zones, so it'll be 10 o'clock in their minds. New York Jets are going to win this game. Jets, J-E-T, Jets win this one, and they win it 13-9. It's going to be an ugly, ugly game. 13-9. Give me the Jets. Moving on to the next game here. This is kind of been starting to become a very intriguing game, Tip. We had the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers for a 1 o'clock kickoff game at Heinz Field. Who do you got winning this one?
Well, I look at Philly as kind of like chasing the points. And what I mean by that is when you play fantasy football, excuse me, when you're playing fantasy football and the guy has a good week, first of all, he didn't get drafted. He never was drafted. He was left on the board. He's a mediocre.
Who?
Anybody.
Oh, okay.
Let's say Cooks for Houston.
Gotcha.
This is an example. Okay. So a player's left on the board. He's supposed to be pretty good, but nobody picks him up. He just sticks there. And then all of a sudden, 1 week, out of 4 weeks, he has a monster game. Okay. And then you go, everybody's on the waiver wanting to pick him up because he had a monster game, and you're chasing the point because you think he's going to have another monster game. And that's the way I look at Philadelphia from last week. They had a really good game against San Francisco, but San Francisco was also decimated with injuries and playing a lot of. Now they have Kittle. Kittle came back, and he had a beast of a game. But other than that, they really didn't have much. And so Philly is kind of showing themselves as that fantasy pick that's hot for the moment, hot for the week, but eventually they're going to come back down and be who they really are, which is overrated. Pittsburgh is not overrated. They've played 3 teams that are losing teams, but you look at Pittsburgh and you look at their coaching, their leadership, their quarterback. They've got their pieces back. Connor's running well. Schuster's playing better, catching the ball, doing well. They got the young guys, Snell. They got Johnson, the little wide receiver. So, and their defense is one of the top 10 in the NFL, if not maybe higher than that. So, they are who we thought they were. Pittsburgh, we thought they are, as Dennis Green said. And I don't think Philly is who people think they are. So I look for Philly to go up there, and I look for Philly to get mopped up by Pittsburgh. And I just think that defense is too much because Wentz, he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to. He's got Sanders, who's running pretty well, and he's got Ertz, who, he's not the same Ertz that he was a couple years ago. But you really, Deshaun Jackson's kind of past his prime. Still fast, can get away a little bit, but he's past his prime. You got Ward, who might have a good game. He may not have a good game. He's young, and some other, Alshon Jeffrey, who I'm not sure why you even keep a contract with that guy. So, all these things adding up, I don't see Philly going and they're winning this game. I think they're the fantasy hot pick of the week, and I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to beat them. 28-17.
Tip, we have been doing a show here.
17 is generous for Philly.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 17 is generous for Philly.
In my opinion. Especially against going up that Pittsburgh Steelers defense. They were a top 5 defense last season. They started off to a rough start this year, but they started to a rough start last year too. And right about week 5, week 6 is when it all came together for the Pittsburgh Steelers on the defensive side of the ball. And Chip, yes, this is the first game that we are going to agree on. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are just the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what they are. I don't know if they are a Super Bowl.
They don't know what they are.
I don't know if they are tanking for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing right now. But with that being said, they're still leading the NFC East with a 1-2-1 record. So with that being said, this loss from the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to knock them down to 3rd place behind the Dallas Cowboys, behind the Washington Redskins, and they're going to get beat. I think it's going to be closer than we think. So I'm going to say 21-20 is the final score.
Ooh.
But the Eagles score late to close that gap, right?
Garbage points.
Yeah.
I
it'll
think
be
Pittsburgh comes back and has a great week because they were off and they're excited to get back and play.
Right.
And I think they're going to get out there. I just think they're going to drum them because Philly doesn't have any defense either.
Right.
Not in their secondary. So
and that is also the exact reason why I'm picking such a low score for the Steelers is because they were off a week. Kind of like a unplanned week. When you have a bye week scheduled, you structure practices a little bit different, more time off, let your body heal. They were still preparing for a game and just by the way, we aren't playing. Yeah. So I think the Steelers do win this game. Moving us to the next game, we're going to have the Los Angeles Rams traveling to Washington, D.C. to take on the 1-2-1 Washington Redskins. What do you got?
Well, yet another garbage game. I'm gonna take the Rams. I picked Kyle Allen up on my fantasy to have as an extra quarterback just because of the way things been going. You never know what you're gonna have or need or whatever. And now I'll say this about Kyle Allen: when Cam was out last year, he was very serviceable. Very serviceable. They didn't make the playoffs, and they didn't have the greatest year, but Kyle didn't do too bad. Now, I know he had McCaffrey, and he had some weapons, but that's just the thing. He did pretty well with what he had. And so I look for him to come into Washington, play decent. I think he's going to play decent. But I look at Washington, and they just don't have much at all. Now, if Allen and McLaurin can get hot with each other, and if Gibson can run the ball worth anything, and I'm not sure that he can against that Rams defense, then I think Washington has a shot to win this game. If that doesn't happen, if they can't get the running game going, then, and I don't know that they will, and the Rams are a very high potent, powerful team that can score points in bunches. I'm going to take the Rams here, and I'm going to say they're probably going to win maybe. I think they're going to probably score high, probably 24, 28 points, and I don't know if Washington even gets 2 touchdowns out of this. So maybe 10 or 14 at the most, maybe, if that.
You know what, Tip? We are either going to have really, really good picks or really, really bad picks because we are going opposite of this game as well. I think the Washington football team is going to rally behind Kyle Allen. And this is kind of just a spark that they need. Like we've seen it when like Nick Foles came in the game for the Bears versus the Falcons 2 weeks ago, right? Like it was just that spark. Like the team got excited. Like, hey, we have a shot now, right? And this is what the Washington football needs. They just need a little bit of confidence. And I think last week we saw the Rams of who they are for. I think the Rams they got hot for 3 or 4 weeks, right? And they won 3 or 4 games, and then they lost to the Bills last week, and they struggled against the Giants.
Yeah, but that was a big game though. They lost. That was a close game. It was a shootout. It wasn't like they got drummed by Buffalo.
You are 100% correct. But when you lose close games, it is historically that you always have a hangover for the next game, right? And
I think they're way better than Washington talent-wise, and that's why I'm picking them, because I think that hangover, even their talent, can get him through that game.
You are 100% correct. They do have more talent, but the Washington defense is something else. They got
that, it is.
That
they got a good young defense. Yeah, you're right.
And then you're forgetting about the travel. I'm a big travel guy because I have traveled from coast to coast, and your body is literally just messed up for like a few days. So when they play this 1 p.m. kickoff game, the LA Rams are ready for breakfast. They're not ready to play a football game. So give me the Washington.
They better get ready
team.
this week then.
Give me the Washington football team and this one. Moving us to our next game, we had the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Who do you got?
Gosh, man, I really want to pick Cincinnati in this. It almost seems like they could win 2 in a row. You know, if Burrow has a great game and they put all the pieces together, the key is you got to get Mixon to play. If Mixon doesn't have a good game, Cincinnati doesn't win this game, and they don't even have a chance. So I think if Mixon has a good game like he did last week, and Burrow obviously continues to have a good game, and they can get those young receivers of Patrick and Higgins involved, maybe mix in a little Green and some Boyd. Boyd's probably your steady receiver. Patrick is a long, he's a down the field guy, and Higgins is kind of a playmaker. So if you can get those guys involved, and you can stay away from turnovers and keep Boston off of the field with Mixon having another good game, I think you have a shot at beating Baltimore. I really do. That being said, I'm not sure they can do that against Baltimore's defense, because Baltimore has a great secondary. They're just great all over. Their secondary is with Chuck Clark, and Elliott is young, and he's ready to hit somebody. And I see that defense keeping that offense off the field. I see Lamar, because Cincinnati doesn't have a good defense. I see Lamar just having an absolute field day. I took Marquise Brown out of the game and replaced him with Rojo last night, and I'm glad I did that. But watch, Marquise will go off now and have a really spectacular game. But I look for Boston to really amp it up in this game and kind of let the dogs out. And I look for them just to put a stomping on Cincinnati. Maybe the next game might be different, but now don't underestimate Cincinnati, though. And I do want to say this: I'm picking Baltimore. I don't know who you're picking. I'm assuming you're going to pick opposite of me, because that's what we do for the most part. But I want to say this: it would not let the record show. It would not surprise me if Cincinnati did win this game. It really wouldn't.
So, Tip,
I think Cincinnati has the nucleus in making of being a great team.
Yeah, you are 100% correct. They have the nucleus there to make a great team. They have receiver, they have running back, they have a quarterback and a coach and a organization that is now committed to winning. But I don't think this year is a year for them to get over that edge. And if you look at my sheet here, Tip, I'm going to hold it up. I had the Ravens wrote down. I crossed them out. I put down Cincy. I crossed them out. This game to me is kind of a toss up, because Joe Burrow has
absolutely.
People say that Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind. Are you going to play out of your mind for four weeks in a row? No, that's what Joe Burrow's playing is. He is just right there. He is not playing high. He is not playing low. he has been in these situations where they are the underdog, and he comes out and he performs. Actually, he plays some of his best games when he is the underdog. With all that being said, I almost want to say the Ravens might be overlooking Cincinnati going into this week.
Possibly,
because, like,
yes.
oh, it's just Cincinnati, but it is a division game. And like, these two teams know each other very, very well. These players know each other very, very, very well. If you guys are, I believe, no, that was the, never mind. I backtrack on that. So,
I believe it'll be a hard-hitting game.
Oh,
I believe there's going to be a lot of hard hits. And I'll tell you this also. This could possibly be, I'm going to pick the Ravens. This could possibly be Cincinnati's big win of the year.
Just because I have faith in what my man Mike LeBlanc has told me, that Joe Burrow is going to be the next greatest quarterback in the NFL, I have faith in Joe Mixon. I did a preseason top 10 running back list of all of the NFL. I had Joe Mixon at number 8. I think he is a good talent. A.J. Green is going to be back for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have some rookie wide receivers. They have a good defense, and the blueprint to beat the Baltimore Ravens is out there. If the coaching staff can put in the blueprints to beat the Baltimore Ravens this year, those players on the Cincinnati Bengals will execute and win this game. With that being said,
that's the key word, execution.
Then they will. You
got young players. You yourself being a football coach. You've got young players, and execution is it's huge to get execution out of young players.
And with all that being said, I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens at the end of the game, because the Cincinnati Bengals are there. They're just not there yet. Give me next year, I'll pick the Cincinnati Bengals in this game. But moving forward, I can't.
Hey man, isn't that a great division? Isn't that a great division of football?
I would say it's the second best division in football right now.
Division.
Yes.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Houston to take on the Texans with their new interim head coach, Romeo Crennel. Who are you taking?
I'm going to take the Jags in this one. I'm going to keep Houston defeated. I like Houston. I never really cared much for Romeo Crennel as a head coach. I think he's a great defensive mind. I think he has a great defensive mind for schemes, and he's one of those old school coaches who believes in hitting hard. And so I think you'll see Houston come out and really start putting some hits on people and putting some pops on people and putting people on notice that they're there. Hey, we're here. But Houston just hasn't. On offense, they struggle. I mean, you got some big names. You yourself have said before that you think Houston is the best receiver trio in the National Football League. And I think they could be. They have a chance. They have Cooks. There's who I used earlier, who has been a solid receiver the past few years, and now somehow this year is not clicking with Deshaun Watson. They've got Fuller. They've got Stills, and I'm not sure what's going on with Kenny Stills. They got a couple of big tight ends who seem to be able to catch the ball. Excuse me. I think they have some issues on the offensive line. Hence, that's why Watson is always running for his life. But I just see Houston as a dumpster fire right now, man. They're just in a mess of a shape now. Usually. An interim coach takes over in the middle of a season, and what does the team do? They go out there and they win one for the Gipper. They play a great game, and everybody says, "Oh, they need point proven. Bill O'Brien needed to go, and Romeo Crennel's the man." Blah blah blah. And the next thing you know, they're 1-15 for the year. So you can't put much stock into that. That could happen. Just because of the level of the blood flowing and everything like that, I could see that happening. But I just think that the Jaguars are more of a complete team right now. They got Chark back, who played a great game last week. Minshew, I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback or not. I just know right now he's serviceable for them. James Robinson he's running the ball extremely well. You've got a couple of other pieces in there that you can throw in. And then the Jags defense isn't that bad. I mean, it's middle of the pack. And I just look for the Jags to go into Houston. This is a conference game, and I look for the Jags to go into Houston. I'm going to say the Jags win this. I'm going to pick the Jaguars.
And you picked the Jaguars, all for the reasons why I was going to pick the Jaguars as well.
Did I steal your thunder?
No,
bro.
I am picking the Jags to win this game because you can say what you want about winning one for the Gipper, yada, 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 and like all that stuff. The fact is that Romeo Crennel is not a head coach in the NFL because he's not a very good head coach. I saw it firsthand with my Kansas City Chiefs. I think he was here for 2 or 3 years, and he shit the bed. He did not rally the troops right. He is a great defensive-minded coach, right? He is a great defensive-minded coach. But when you take off this hat and put on this hat,
whole different ball game, bro.
Something doesn't translate over, and I think he's like 85 years old. Like he is old as dirt.
It's almost like going from dating to marriage.
Right, yeah.
You would think, hey, we've been together this long, and what's going to change? And then all of a sudden you get married, and you're like, what the fart just happened right there?
Right.
You know, we were great yesterday. Now we got married last night. What the heck happened today? You know, it's just a whole different ball game, and it's like Crennel is great at the defensive mind, but then you put that, you know, it's I liken it to Norm, what was his name for the Cowboys back in the 90s? Norm, is it Stewart? No.
I don't know.
For the Chargers, he was the head coach for the Chargers early in
Norm Chow? I think
his career.
I think it was Norm Chow. I think you froze on us.
He was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys back with Aikman and Emmett and them. Anyway, he was a great offensive mind. And then he went to be a head coach, and he just stunk. But then he went back to being an offensive mind somewhere, and he started doing well. So it's like, hey, man, stay in your lane. Some were meant to do this, and some were meant to do that. You know.
And Tip, I'm going to give you a little pat on the back here. Brandon Coombs from Triple Shot Sports says you just explained both of his marriages to the T there. So congratulations on on that. So we are both picking the Jags.
What's
so
up,
that
Combs?
means Houston Texans will win this game moving forward. Moving on to the next one, we had the Miami Dolphins traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Tip, who do you got?
You are never going to get me to go against my Dolphins. I wouldn't care if they were 0-15 in the last game of the season and they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City and they're 15-0. I just can't, man. My heart is there for the Dolphins. It is. And I want to say the Dolphins put something together this week and you know, put a good game plan together, and they travel out there. The weather is not much different. It's a little cooler, but not much. They got to travel, so that's different. But I wish, you know, Gesicki was supposed to have been found his game this season. He was a hot tight end to pick up early in the year. I mean, at fantasy football, I've got him on one or two of my teams, and he's just been kind of a bust, man. He's had one good game. Miami can't find their running game for some reason. You know, Fitz never knows if he's going to play this game or the next game, and then you've got Tua who's waiting, you know, who's breathing down his neck and saying, whispering in his ear, I'm here, you know, but the coaching staff won't put him out there yet, and you almost can't blame them because they're protecting him, and they really just kind of, like you said with Flacco, they want to preserve Tua like you want to preserve Darnold. So you let Flacco, they'll start letting Tua play. But then if you start letting him play and he gets hurt, injured, then you don't have him for next season. So I think you just ride with Fitz as far as you can. He's a gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball, and he's going to run with the ball, and he's just a cowboy out there on the field. He's almost like a Jameis Winston. And, you know, Devontae Parker has started to show up the last couple of games, but they don't have any other help. You know, Pat Williams isn't doing well receiving the ball, and they, you know, so they're just kind of in a bad spot right now. San Francisco's got Kittle back. They're starting to, you know, I think Mullins is going to play this week again, so they're starting to, but they're getting some other players back, and you can see kind of the difference in San Francisco. And I just think they go to San Francisco, and as much as I hate to say it, I think they get whomped out there. I just think they get. I would like to say that this is the week they'll put it together and have a great game because I can't stand the 49ers, but I just don't see it happening with the travel and all. I just don't see it happening. I think
for everything that you just said, Tip, the 49ers are going to win this game easily.
Yeah.
After halftime, Ryan Fitzpatrick's season is over. We're going to see Tua time in Miami.
Ooh, I like
after
that.
the halftime.
I like that.
And they're going to rally around Tua a little bit in the second half, but they'll be so far behind, and the 49ers are just going to run the ball. 49ers win this game. Moving us on to the next game here, we have probably the game of the week, I think, as far as Sunday goes. You have the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Who do you got?
Browns are hot right now. You know, they're coming off a big win against Dallas, and that's a big thing for a lot of teams. You know, it is Dallas. I know they are, you know, a lot of people don't care for Dallas much, but it is Dallas, and when you can beat Dallas, it's almost like beating UK in basketball. It's kind of your Super Bowl game of the year, and they came off and they pretty much just manhandled Dallas until the end of the game when Dallas got garbage stuff at the second half, end of the game. Cleveland didn't know how to close it out. They got a young coaching staff. They got a young quarterback. They got a young team. Myles Garrett is a beast. He's ridiculous. And so they're coming off a pretty big high. They could be playing on that high right now. Coming off of a win like that, you can go. I've seen teams go both ways. I've seen them come off of a big win like that and stay really high and play really well for a couple of games and just do good things. And then I've seen them go to the next game after a big win like Dallas, like last week, and I've seen them just fall apart and just because they get cocky and arrogant and whatever the case may be. But then I look at Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is also a good squad. They got one of the top defenses in the NFL. I'm not sure who Rivers has to throw to, though. T.Y. Hilton's been a big disappointment. You do have Jonathan Taylor. Now, he's an up-and-coming, I believe he's an up-and-coming stud for running backs. You've got Mo Alley Cox, who could have a big game. But who do you throw to for Indianapolis? It's like, and Phillip Rivers is another gunslinger. He'll just throw it up there, man. And I think this week it catches up with Indy, and I think Cleveland playing at home, coming off of a big win, emotions are high. They almost maybe feel like, you yourself as a football coach, me as a coach, when you come off a game like that, you feel like you've really put something together and you want to keep that momentum going. So you tend to kind of mimic what you did the week before in Indianapolis. But the problem is Indianapolis has a much better defense. So we'll see how that plays out. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Cleveland here. I kind of think Indianapolis is going to win, but I want to pick Cleveland here. I really do.
So you are picking Cleveland. Triple Shot Sports is picking Cleveland by 3 as well. And you guys are both completely wrong because of everything that you said, Tip. But in the other side of the realm, people say that the Cleveland Browns dominated the Dallas Cowboys. Did you guys not watch the first quarter of that game? It was a 14-7. They were getting manhandled by the Dallas Cowboys, and then the wheels fell off the Cowboys. They had a strip sack. They had a fumble. You can say what you want, but the Cleveland Browns only played good for 2 quarters. The second and the third quarter, wheels fell off in the fourth quarter. Dallas Cowboys come back, and that is going to come back and haunt them in the end. The Cleveland Browns have to put together a full game versus the Indianapolis Colts, and they can't do that. Who have the Cleveland Browns played so far that is worth even talking about besides the Dallas Cowboys, because they will win that NFC East in the end? Who had the Cleveland Browns played? Tell me.
They haven't. No, I'm not arguing that with you. I can't even argue that because their schedule hasn't been much of anything. But I will say this: they did play the Dallas Cowboys at Dallas, and they did spank Dallas handily in their home.
2 quarters, right?
It doesn't matter if you do it in 1 quarter or 4 quarters, man. If it gets done, they left there with the W. That's all that. 1 point or 20 points.
And with that being
said,
a
W is a W.
With that being said, is it going to be a hard-fought game? It's going to be a defensive struggle, meaning it's going to be high scoring. 42-45, Indianapolis Colts come on top, and your boy that you just dogged, T.Y. Hilton, he's going to come out 3 touchdowns. Start him in fantasy on Sunday. 3 touchdowns, T.Y. Hilton. Moving on to the next game, possibly the second best game of the day. The New York Football Giants traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Who do you got?
Hey, man, before I start this segment, can I give a shout-out just real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay? I just
Always
want to tell
okay.
my wife that I love her. Tomorrow is our anniversary, and I just want to tell her that I love her, and I'm always thinking about her. Love you, baby.
There we go.
Happy anniversary.
Mrs. Tip, happy anniversary.
Got to get that in there. Got to get that in, man. Because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. So, yeah, got to get that in, man. Got to. I got to, you know what? I am this close. This close. Can you see that? Can you see that right there? This close? Where's it at? Where's the camera at?
You got to go
Can
up.
you see that right there?
Go up, Tip. Go up.
There you go.
There you go.
That close. Whatever. Of picking the Giants in this game. And I'll tell you why. But I'm not going to. I'm going with Dallas. I just think Dallas has, obviously the talent is way above and beyond. But you got Jason Garrett coming back to Dallas after everything that went on. And you've got a New York Giants team that is young, and they have heard, and New York will beat you up when it comes to press.
Right.
They will smash you unlike any other press in the United States or the world. It's just they can just decimate your career. They can actually make your career. And they have heard everything through the media that they can possibly hear. And if the G-men have any pride whatsoever, they will come out Sunday and they will say, you know what, we may not make the playoffs. We may not even win another game the rest of this season. But I'll be dang if I'm going to go in here to Dallas and let them beat us. One of our arch rivals, their history goes way back. 9 out of 10 people are picking Dallas to win this game. And the G-men, the Giants are hearing all this. And Jason Garrett, you know, he's got to be fired up. And I believe he's pumping his guys up. And Jason Garrett's another one of those guys who's not not a head coach, but he's a good offensive coach.
Right. And
he's a good quarterbacks coach. And Danny Dimes is a good young quarterback. Now, do you put him in the same category as Burrow or Herbert?
Yes.
Yes. I don't right now.
I do.
It's possible. It's possible in the next year or two. It's kind of hard to do because he hasn't had all of his weapons.
True.
But you've got, man, he's got a receiving squad. He's got some receivers. Dude, he's got Slayton. I think Shepard still might be injured. He's got Slayton and Shepard. He's got Ingram. You know, Barkley's injured. That kind of hurts the running game. But I wonder if maybe the G-men don't come out this game and Jason Garrett says, you know what? I got these wide receiver weapons, and I got this young quarterback, and we don't have a running game, and Dallas stinks in their secondary. We're going to come out here, and we're going to sling this ball, and we're going to throw it up and down the field, and we are going to wear these dudes out. And I wouldn't be surprised if another one, just like Cincinnati and Baltimore, I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants won this game. I'm going to pick Dallas just because of talent, but it's a very slim margin what I'm picking Dallas by. And it would not surprise me if the Giants won this game because Dallas they're a great offensive squad, but their defense, they got no heart on defense. They don't play with any pride. They don't play with any energy or they don't hit. It's just sad to see Dallas playing like that on defense. So it's almost like the offense has to come out and score 97 points a game just to have a chance to win. But their defense is also going to give up 97 or 98 points.
Yeah, I hear everything that you are saying.
So
sorry, you
I'm going with the Giants.
Yeah.
No, I'm going with the Giants.
Yeah, you're going with the Giants.
I got the G-men. I got the G-men. Write it down. Put it down.
I got it. I crossed out the Cowboys, and I wrote L next to your name because the Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game. Not because of their defense, not because of Jason Garrett coming back to Dallas and doing his little clap on the sideline there. You can say what you want about the G-men coming together. Yes, I had them as my sleeper pick in the NFC this season. I had them going 8-8 and possibly sneaking into the playoffs, but that was with Saquon Barkley in the game. They don't have Saquon Barkley anymore. Who are they going to give the ball to when Danny Dimes starts throwing an interception because the Cowboys are playing coverage deep this week and they actually play some defense? It doesn't matter. The Cowboys can give up 46 points this game, and they're still going to win because the Giants' defense is just as bad as the Dallas Cowboys game. We could see an NBA basketball score in this game, and it would not surprise me one bit. But with all that being said, Dak Prescott throws for another 4 touchdowns, throw for another 300 yards, but you said this yesterday, we have to get Zeke involved into this game, and they're going to get Zeke involved early in this game. Zeke will have 125 yards on the ground, 60 yards receiving, and the Cowboys are going to wall up the Giants because let's be honest, if the Dallas Cowboys lose this game, hell will freeze over. There will be an atomic explosion in Dallas, Texas. Oh, my God, we lost to the Giants. We suck. What is going on? The Dallas Cowboys win this game. 45-17 is the final score. It is an ass-kicking. Dallas Cowboys win.
You have been sipping back on your grandpa's cough syrup again today, brother.
Hey,
no
it's the
way.
best grape syrup I've ever had in my life.
The Dallas will give up what they get easily.
The Dallas Cowboys can score at will against the Giants. So they need one defensive stop because the Giants defense won't stop them at all day long.
But this could be the Giants' big win of the year, though.
It could be. It could, but it won't.
Their defense could show up, on any given Sunday.
You're
bro.
Right. Any given Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys are going to beat the Giants 10 out of 11 times this time. Give me over a 90% chance of winning this game.
Fair enough.
Moving to the Sunday night game, we have the Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Seahawks. Last game of the day. Who do you got winning this one? Coach Tip.
Well, first of all, you've got the Vikings, enough said there. And then you've got the Seahawks, enough said there. You've got the Vikings traveling, so there's more than enough said. And I know the Vikings had a good game last week. I don't see them putting a game, even if they have a decent game like that, they're not going to stop Seattle. When Seattle loses their game, they're going to lose one of two ways. They're either going to lose to a team like the Vikings because they've let their guard down and just gotten complacent and, overlooked them, or they're going to lose to a really, really good team like the Packers or somebody like that. So they're not just going to – but Russell Wilson is not the type of player that overlooks anyone. And right now, I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I rank him as number one. That's me, though. And, well, actually, a lot of places are, ranking him number one. But I don't look for the Vikings to come in here and do much. I think Seattle's going to handle them pretty easily, pretty well. Seattle has some issues in the secondary. I know Adams was hurt. I'm not sure if he's coming back this week yet or not. I haven't seen the report on him, their safety. But when he's in there, they're a totally different team, and they still have a great nucleus for a really good defense. They just have some young pieces, and they got to put it together, and they're doing that. Their secondary is not great, but again, it's coming together. I know the Vikings have some good receivers in Thielen, and Jefferson's an up-and-coming young wide receiver who's going to be really good. You got Cook. But when you put it all together, and if you look at these two teams and I put them on a neutral field, just one game to win it all, I'm going to say Seattle does it, and I'm going to take Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
So you're taking the Seahawks in this game, and you have finally got a correct pick of the game here, because I am picking the Seattle Seahawks as well for all the points that you said, but I'm going to add to the actual points that matter here. The actual points that matter is Kirk Cousins is ass on primetime games. He is 8-15-1 in primetime games. A primetime game that is a game slated not for Sunday afternoon. As a starter during all primetime games throughout his whole career, he is 6 for 29. That is 0-9 on Monday Night Football, 0-1 in playoffs, and when trailing in the fourth quarter, he is 1-11-1 as a Vikings quarterback.
Yep. And I think they're going to be trailing in the fourth quarter.
And with all that being said, Kirk Cousins is the most I put a poll out, or I made a comment saying who was the most overrated quarterback in all of the NFL. Several people said Kirk Cousins, and I agree with them.
Yes.
I think Kirk Cousins is the most overrated quarterback in all of NFL football in the 2020 season, starting NFL quarterback, and he does not get it done against the Seattle Seahawks whatsoever.
No.
And keep that numbers in mind. 6 for 29. He has 6 wins versus 29 losses in the primetime situation. That's going to be the final score. Vikings 6, Seahawks 29.
That's pretty good. I like that. That's pretty good.
All righty, Tip. So
way to bring that together.
Just to recap our picks here, Tip has the Panthers, Raiders, Cardinals, Steelers, Rams, Ravens, Jaguars, 49ers, Cleveland Browns, the G-Men, and the Seattle Seahawks. And I have the correct picks here. You have the Atlanta Falcons, the Chiefs, Jets, Pittsburgh, the football team, Ravens, Jags, 49ers, Colts, Dallas, and then the Seahawks. Ooh, Tip, that was a good show, man.
Good. That's good. Hey, real quick before we get off here, so since Coombs is listening, I'm just curious who he's got between the Yankees and the Rays in their 5th game coming up. So I'm curious to hear who he has.
Gets back in the comments here. Let me jump over to the comments here.
I got the Yankees. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Yankees.
He takes the Yankees.
Well, I mean, Garrett Cole's going to be pitching. They're going to use him for the 5th game. So
Coombs says he is picking the Rays and like in that game. But just to get back into the football thing here, Triple Shot Sports has this being the highest scoring game of the day, which is the Vikings versus the Seahawks, and he's picking 47-45 Seattle over the Vikings. And he says the Seattle defense is just as bad, but so is the Vikings secondary. So definitely bet the over on this game if you want a high-scoring game. And I think that is complete false. I'm going the exact opposite. I think I definitely pick the under in this game. But then flash over to your baseball
that's pretty
score.
high score. That's like you said. That's an NBA score. That's a basketball score. I don't see these teams.
Right. Yeah.
So, but now the Vikings do have the means to get up and down the field.
They do.
If Cousins is hot. If he's hot and Cook is running the ball well, they got the means to go up and down the field and score points.
If you are in a shootout, though, do you want Russell Wilson or do you want Kirk Cousins?
Oh, gosh, man, that's not even close. I'll take Kirk Cousins all day.
There's your winner of the game, 100%. So
I'm taking Russell all day, baby. All day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
So Triple Shot Sports says he is taking the Rays over the Yankees tonight. He says the Rays win 7-5. So maybe Monday. No, we can't do it Monday. Yeah, let's do it Monday. Let's have Coombs on the show, and when the Yankees win, we'll give you 10 minutes to gloat. If the Rays win, we'll give him 10 minutes to like gloat. So either way, guys, this is the Mike and Mike Man out here.
Way to be fun.
Michael Buckeiser with Tip, Coach Tip himself. Guys, enjoy the weekend. We'll be back Monday, 1 p.m. East Coast time. Next Monday, breaking down, recapping all of the NFL scores, all of the games, and we got 2 games to break down on Monday as well. So, Coach Tip, from myself, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy it, and we will be back next time. Have a great night.
Yes, sir. Same to y'all. Be blessed.
Before we head out, Brandon Coombs says, read this in the comment section over here on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Mike and Mike Man Hour. He says, when was the last NBA score that finished 47-45? Maybe back in Tip's days, the early 20s, back when basketball was invented. So, if you want to fire shots like that, Coombs, say it a little sooner before we end the show, my man. But guys, we'll be back. Mike and Mike Man Hour. Head over to mikeandmikemanhour.com. Pick us up some t-shirts. Support the show, guys. Have a great weekend. We out. MikeandMikeManHour.com. Check us out. Got hats, hoodies, and most importantly, got those t-shirts.